Gavin Williamson, famously a previous holder of that office. I think you're the fifth Education Secretary, aren't you, in fewer months. Your views on his resignation last night?
Well, I mean, I think it's probably a good thing. I mean, you know, what he said is he didn't want to be a distraction. Clearly, as you were just hearing from Lord Frost, there's a lot of things that the government has to navigate, a lot of difficult things, not only climate change, the war in Ukraine, but of course those economic challenges that he was talking about. So I think, you know, it's probably he's done the right thing by saying it will be a distraction and he'll go to the backbenches to fully engage with that independent process.
Gillian, people will be asking the question, should Gavin Williamson have even been in Cabinet in the first place? I mean, all you need to do is take one look at his ministerial record. 2019, he was sacked at Defence. 2021, he was sacked at Education. And just last night, he resigned from Cabinet office after just 2 weeks. And Rishi Sunak has spoke on a step of Downing Street, talking about integrity and professionalism and accountability. It was meant to be this great reset moment, wasn't it? And it's almost as though Gavin Williamson kind of let the side down.
Well, I mean, it is a reset moment, and obviously we do have a very strong cabinet. I mean, Rishi's got a cabinet with lots of talent, lots of people who've been there before, and then lots of fresh faces like myself. But, you know, the reality is this does sometimes happen in politics. It's unfortunate. I mean, I think Peter Mandelson made more comebacks than Frank Sinatra. This does happen occasionally. Not something that you welcome, not something I hope will happen to me, but it isn't entirely unusual. And that's because of the political scrutiny, because of the pressure, and also because of the you know, the various you know, changes that go on and that you have to respond to very quickly.
Lots of people will be thinking that this is the beginning of the end of the honeymoon for our new Prime Minister, and that's going to come to an abrupt end, surely, with next week's autumn statement. We've already got the highest tax burden in this country since the 50s. That's set to go up. Lots of talk in the papers about how on earth that's going to be done, talking about the top-rated tax going up to 50 pence. We've got lots of talk about stealth tax, inheritance tax. The Telegraph saying Conservatives will regret going after Middle England, and the Daily Mail also saying it beggars belief. Hunt is mad to go after the wealth creators and savers.
Well, they're all speculating 1 week and 1 day before the Chancellor actually delivers his statement. So clearly you're going to have to wait for the statement to know what it is. But we do understand all the parameters of this. You know, I think Rishi spent the whole summer going round basically saying how difficult this was, and that he was going to be honest with people and face up to what are hard truths that people don't always want to hear. But the reality is, leadership means that you need to show that, you know, show that honesty and integrity, and be upfront with people about the challenges. Not just us, let's be fair, it's not just us, it's people all over the globe are facing the same challenge. You know, the moral of the story is you can't close down the world's economy, not just ours, for 2 years and not have an impact, and then have your first war in Europe in 70 years and it not impact in any way. These things are impacting very deeply, whether it is you know, the impacts in the recovery from the pandemic, or whether it's the impact on the energy prices, and of course, more importantly, the people in Ukraine, you know, the impact of this war. So there are very difficult things that we have to go through, and, you know, I think we've got by far the best leader to do that.
Gillian, you may have just been hearing here in the studio Liam Halligan, our economics and business editor, with his exclusive interview with Lord Frost. He was talking about raising taxes into a recession, which is obviously what's due to happen in the upcoming autumn statement. He warns, Lord Frost does, that this will cause a vicious downward cycle. He says you have to be cautious when economic conditions are getting worse, that we are not making people's situation worse. What's your reaction to those comments?
Well, of course, they're difficult balancing acts, and that's exactly what the Chancellor is doing right now, trying to balance all of those things. No easy decisions here. This is very, very difficult, challenging times. And, you know, of course, mistakes were made in the previous with the previous Prime Minister and the previous budget, and we need to make sure that we don't make those mistakes again.
what's your own view on the triple lock? I mean, no one was ever expecting when this pledge was drawn up that inflation would be so high. Can the government really afford £11 billion to pensioners at a time when you've got workers turning up at the Trussell Trust and a quarter of people using food banks, actually people in working poverty?
Well, this is the big questions for the Chancellor. That's exactly what the
But what's your
Chancellor's
own
doing.
view?
And of course, you'll understand that. Well, you will understand that that would be really unhelpful for me to do that. So you're going to have to wait. It's only a week and a day. So a week tomorrow, you will get the autumn statement. And, you know, obviously there'll be lots of us out and about on the media explaining why we've made the choices that we've made. But I don't know what those choices are.
Gillian, I wanted to ask your reaction to what we've seen this morning, reports of a policeman who's been injured at a Just Stop Oil protest. Not clear yet what the details of that are, but we're also seeing reports of a journalist that was arrested whilst doing her job. What's your reaction to what we're seeing and hearing, and your reaction in general to the Just Stop Oil protesters?
Well, the Just Stop Oil protesters, obviously they have, they're causing mass disruption now and possibly making people unsafe. I haven't seen either of these stories in any detail, but it's deeply concerning if somebody has been injured and a policeman's been injured. You know, we have COP27 going on. If you are serious and want to be constructive about climate change, about making those changes, then if you are serious about that, you should be going to COP27. You should be constructively engaging with that dialogue, not sticking yourself to parts of the M25.
Have a police arresting journalists either, I'm sure. Look, I have to ask you about Matt Hancock. He's gone into the jungle. He's talked about how snakes are his biggest fear. He's also talked about how the jungle represents his place of work. What could he be saying there, do you think?
Oh, I have no idea, but it certainly doesn't represent the place of work that I go into every day. But I would not sign up to go into the jungle for anything, no. I would leave the snakes and the creepy crawlies to Matt.
OK, Gillian Keegan, Education Secretary. Thanks for being a good sport. Good to talk to you this morning.